Hello class. What we're going to start in this video is talking about section perspectives or stacked floor plans, or any way that you can sort of section off part of your drawing and then show it in an interesting three-dimensional way. And there's lots of ways of doing this. I'm going to continue with Photoshop because we're sort of working with Adobe a lot in here. You could do tools in SketchUp that will give you section cuts. There's the crop box in Revit that'll give you section cuts and do all these things, but we're sort of working in Photoshop, and I think it's fun and easy to do it in there, so we'll go and do it. So what I've already done is I've taken my SketchUp model we're working with, and I've gotten rid of the ground plane and the sort of exterior stuff. You'll see it here in a second, but I have the foundation in, so I'm starting a new file because what we've previously worked is we didn't have the foundation in there because we were showing a perspective as if the ground were there. So I had to go back to my model and re-export it as an OBJ. If you don't know how to do that, go to an earlier video and get that done. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to file new. I'm going to start a new file, and I'm going to say, okay, let's change this to inches, and I'll say the width is 17 and the height will be 11, just to go off of an 11 by 17. And we'll say resolution 72 dpi. You might put that up. The reality is the lower that is, the quicker the rendering will be. The higher it is, the better it'll be. So to keep things moving, I'll keep mine at 72, which is definitely on the low side. And I've got my screen here. And just like before, I'll just go to new 3D layer, and I will pull in where I saved that file. I made a new folder for it for section cut. Then I'm going to pull in this OBJ and say OK. I'll take some time and I'll go through so you can see I've got my section cut here. Okay. And I can play with the lighting, which I'll have to do later. I was just sort of fooling around. We can see, oops, I've got to go to my 3D thing here, and let's go to all my settings, and I can orbit around. There we go. I just wanted to see that we've got all this file in here. Now, the one thing to note is about materials. I might not be too worried about it because when we do a section cut, we're going to not see the exterior materials, and we've only set up the exterior materials at this point. I might have to redo some interior materials, and I might have to redo the glass. That might be the one thing I have to redo, but it's going to be a different perspective and probably have to be done separately anyway. However, I just want to make a quick note. If you have two files like I have, but you want the same materials, or if you just want to save the materials for another project, you can always go to your project, because we did a lot of, if we remember way back, we did a lot of material work on this rendering when we did the daytime shot. So you can come up to your 3D layers, go to materials, and on this box what you can do is you can do a bunch of things. You can come here on the material you like, and then you can just do new material, and it's going to add it to the list. So you can do new material for all these things that you made things for, and say okay. And I did some of those already, so I can do brick antique. I'm not going to do them all. I'm going to say new material, okay. And then when you it's already there. See, I already had that one in there, so I couldn't resave it. But when you come down here, you see you start adding these materials to this list. And then what you can do is you can save materials. This is going to save the entire library. It's going to ask you where to save it. I'm not going to save it because I don't think it matters, but you can save it somewhere on your file here. And then you can come to your new file, and you can come to this button and say load materials, and then you'll have in this box the new materials you want, and you can select on this guy, then scroll down and select the new materials to get your materials set. So that's just a good technique if you need to do that. I know that was sort of long and sort of wasted this video on material sort of saving, but you might need to know that at some point in time. I'll stop this video here, and then we'll talk about the actual section cuts.